Got a taste for adventure, eh? Pull up a chair by the hearth. Welcome to the Hearthstone Elite Podcast. Grab a pint and make yourself comfortable. The show is about to begin.
Welcome again, everybody, to episode 3 of the Hearthstone Elite Cast. Today is a huge day for us. We have an amazing guest, but we'll get to him in a moment. So first, I'd like to introduce, again, myself, JDubb, Justin, your host. I've got with me my two buddies, Steve and Gareth.
Hey, everybody.
One in our New York guy and our South African man. And then, the episode title this week, we'll just jump right into it, is 30 Minutes with ERIC DODDS. So that kind of gives it away. Our guest today is ERIC DODDS of Hearthstone. If you don't know who he is, you should know who he is, because he's the man behind our favorite game and your favorite game. So ERIC, for those people who don't know who you are and what you do, could you give us maybe a quick little rundown of what exactly you do on the Hearthstone side and for Blizzard?
Sure. I'm the lead designer on Hearthstone, and what I do is sort of a lot of everything, in that we only have, a couple of designers on the team. So whether it's figuring out what the cards are going to look like, or the balance, or figuring out what the UI is going to be, or figuring out what features are important, is sort of involved in everything. So I just spend a lot of my day working with everybody else on the team, kind of figuring out where we're heading.
Awesome. So we are, obviously, as you've heard us chattering before this, we are super excited to have you here. You're the first guest on our Hearthstone podcast, so this is very exciting. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time on this.
It's fantastic.
I know, right? The first guest. This is awesome. All right, so we don't have a lot of time. We got to get you back to building our game, so we need to jump right into this. So over the last week, we got a hold of our community, and we asked them to submit some questions to us that we're going to ask you. So throughout that, we're going to mix in a few of our own, obviously, because there's some things that we want to know. And so first question we're going to ask, obviously, is the one question that's on everybody's mind, and it's still on everybody's mind. And we've seen that you guys have restarted the invites and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Has the open beta kind of solidified at all? Are we still on Blizzard time for January? Is there any news on that you can give us?
Yeah, we're still driving hard on trying to hit December, but it's definitely a very aggressive date for us. So can't say for sure. It's just, we're still driving hard and working as fast as we can, and I can't give you anything more concrete than that, other than we're moving as fast as we can.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well then, Steve, why don't you lead us off with the next question?
Okay. So BlizzCon at the Fireside Chat, you guys covered a whole mess of changes to Hearthstone, a whole bunch of new stuff coming out. One of the biggest things that has my interest is the new PvE stuff you guys have going on in this new adventure mode. For those of you listening who don't know what this is, it's a single-player PvE experience that you can go through, kind of like a dungeon in World of Warcraft would be, where you can unlock new cards that I believe you said would be radically changing the meta in Hearthstone as far as competitive play goes. And you go through these dungeons, you beat the bosses, you get those fat loots, and you just get to have a good old time. So let me just run through a couple questions here about adventure mode, so everyone can get a better idea of what's going on with it. First things first, you said it's going to radically change the meta. What exactly do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, when we're looking at how the game is playing currently, we want to make sure that you're not seeing exactly the same decks at the highest level. So if you're seeing, you're seeing a lot of Warlock Rush, it's definitely the sort of thing we talk about and go, oh, how is this going to impact the game at a high level? What new cards are going to be putting in your deck? So we don't want it to just be a set of cards that, hey, they're sort of fun to play with, but they're not being played with at the highest level. So that we're definitely looking at not only making sure that that's changed, but making sure that if there are any issues that crop up in the meta, that we make sure that we provide solutions to the players so they can sort of take matters into their own hands and have a solution to a difficulty they're running into in the meta game.
Okay, so basically these, I wouldn't say that these cards are going to be overpowered, but they're going to be pretty necessary to stay competitive in ranked play then, yeah?
I don't know if I would say necessary for sure. I would say that it's just going to make sure that there are tools that are available to you that you will want to think about using based on ranked play. I mean, one of the things that's actually pretty cool is the metagame is still shifting, so it's hard for us to make sure that, these are cards that are going to be tactically critical for any given moment in the metagame, but they're going to be important pieces that let you sort of respond to the metagame and how we sort of expect it to shift. How it exactly shifts, it's kind of hard to say right now because it's still moving.
Okay. So let's just jump down to the next question I've got here. The structure of this PvE content, these dungeons, how exactly is that going to work? I mean, is it just going to be a series of duels where you fight some ads, then you do the mini boss, and then you finish with the big dungeon boss, or how's that exactly going to work for the player?
That is an excellent question, and it's actually something we're still talking about internally, because we sort of have two tracks that we're working on. Sort of the primary track is, of course, getting the game out to everybody. I mean, it's still in beta. We need to make sure that we get to open beta and get everybody playing and get it on the iPad. And then we have sort of a secondary track that we're working on where we're talking about what are our philosophical goals, where do we want it to go after that. And so exactly what we're doing, or the specifics, we don't have nailed down yet. So as soon as we have more specifics, we're definitely going to start talking about them. But for the moment, we're talking philosophically about the future, and then, more definitively about, hey, let's get this game out to everybody, or that's where our focus is. Okay,
so it's not so much as something that's like set in stone and is pretty close to you guys just polishing off. It's more of a conceptualized idea, right?
Yeah. It's just important to us to provide content to the players in a couple of different ways. Partially, sometimes in a classical, pack of cards sort of environment, and sometimes in this, hey, there's a limited number of cards. They're not too complicated, but they change the metagame and I can earn them. Both of those ways are important ways to get them out to the players. And so we're going to be doing both of those ways, but specifics are a little bit farther out for us to know exactly what we're doing.
Okay. So this is a question that I've seen bouncing around ever since you guys have referred to it as a dungeon experience. You obviously know World of Warcraft, dungeons take 5 players. Is there any talk whatsoever about group play in this, or is it just strictly PvE content with just you playing against a computer-controlled AI?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a single-player play. I mean, group play, there's certainly been a lot of talk about it. It sounds awesome. It's just that's a pretty huge feature, so it's certainly possible that at some point in the future it's something we'll look at, but right now we're definitely focused on that one-on-one play, whether it's you versus another person, or in the case of adventure mode, you versus the environment trying to earn these cards and defeat these various encounters.
Okay. And then I do have one more question regarding loot, because dungeons are all about loot. What kind of loot are you guys expecting to give out in this PvE content besides, just new cards? Is there any, talk of portraits or card backs or anything like that?
The primary plan right now is to give out the cards. I mean, that's really what the game is all about, and that's the most important thing to us, and I think to a lot of the players, is what kind of new decks can I build? How can I respond to other decks? So that's the core of it. Will there be something else? It's certainly possible. I wouldn't want to rule it out, but it's not part of our plan structure right now.
Okay. So it sounded to me like adventure mode still very raw, and there's a lot of different directions that it can go. So my last question to you is about adventure mode. If there's anything I haven't asked you, is there anything that you want our listeners to know regarding adventure mode before we move on to our next topic?
I think the biggest thing about adventure mode is it's a constrained experience where you get to play in a variety of different ways maybe than you're used to, because what we're likely to do in adventure mode is sort of change up the rules, give you enemies that maybe operate differently than a normal enemy might. We might be able to put in cards that we couldn't put in the normal set that you'd be playing against. So
like one of the things
it's important for us to sort of change things up. So you start playing and you go, whoa, I never thought about playing in that specific way. So I think that's one of the important pieces of adventure mode, is just sort of to change how you think a little bit and make you think about building maybe a different sort of deck to respond to that adventure.
Okay, cool. I'm interested to see the combos and new strategies that come out of adventure mode. It sounds interesting. That's awesome. We also have to talk about more from BlizzCon, which is the ranking system. Gareth, do you want to talk a little bit about that with Eric?
Yeah, this is the one part that I'm most excited about, only because me and my wife, for example, have hit a bit of a plateau when it comes to our ranking in play mode, and there's no indication of when we would rank up again. So this is a really cool feature. I mean, the basics of this, that the way I understand it from BlizzCon, is that you guys are basically wiping out the existing ranking system essentially, and adding in 25 new ranks. With 6 wins per rank to advance to the next rank in the sequence. But I think there was a bit of confusion because some people might be confused about the resets and how that's going to work with the Legends ranking and so on. Because I think it was briefly mentioned that once a person reaches Legends, they don't get reset with everyone else or something like that. I don't know if you want to clarify how that whole ranking system works for us.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that's a little bit different is while you're moving through these different ranks, it's not necessarily going to be a set number of ranks up or stars per rank. So it'll probably be different at different levels, not always be 6. And we are going to be resetting no matter your rank, even if you get into Legend mode. The thing that's different about Legend mode is on your way up, you're going to go, okay, I win a game, I get a star, I lose a game, I lose a star. It's very clear how I advance. So I advance in that specific way all the way up to Legend mode. So as a player, you know exactly what you need to do. And it's sort of what you brought up, which is on your way up in the current system, you don't really know where you stand, what you need to advance. The advance is always a surprise, and we want you to go, okay, just 2 more wins and I get up to rank 4, or, et cetera, something like that. And then when I get into Legend mode, that's our mode for our very, very top players. And what we're doing at that point is letting you know exactly where you stand in relationship to other players. And that's sort of speaking to players that are currently in 3-star Master, and they go, well, I'm at the very top, but I have no way of knowing how I stand against other players, and so you don't really have this feel for how can I advance? What do I need to get better? How can I brag to my friends about how awesome I am? And so once you get into Legend mode, it shifts into an MMR-based system where you're just going up and down based on your wins and losses and the skill of the other players you're playing against, and then it's going to be updating you about where you stand. Hey, I'm player 1240. Hey, I won a couple games. I'm now the 900th best player in this region, etc. So it really lets our superstars shine at that point once they get to that level. But still, at the end of each of those months, we are going to take everybody back down to the beginning, because we want players to have a chance of, well, I didn't really have a very good deck, or I got to the top, but I wasn't following the metagame as closely, and I played this deck that wasn't really meshing really well with the metagame, and so we set everybody back down to the beginning, and it gives you a chance with this, hey, I'm going to play this whole different deck, or play in a whole different way, and sort of let you earn what you think is your appropriate rank at that point. And of course, it's also tied in with us giving you the card back for participating in that season. We take you to the beginning, and then you work your way up and playing up, and then get the next card back.
Gotta have that trophy.
Yep.
Well, I was just wondering how the card backs work. Is it going to be a system where at any point you can switch to a different card back you earned in another season? So that other players that you play against see that you were in season 1 or season 9, or...
Yeah, you're going to get the card back at the... excuse me. You're going to get the card back at the end of the season. So while you're playing in a season, you're not going to be showing that season's card back, but say it's a year from now, you can go, I'm going to play with all of the first season's card back to show that, I was there from the beginning. I was an early adopter. Or I want to show that I played in this season because I really love how this specific card back looks. So you're going to get to choose what card back you want to display.
Okay, so that just makes me think of another question off the top of my head here. Is there going to be a closed beta card back by any chance?
There are no plans for that. I mean, we want to make sure that in fact, I can say that we're not planning on letting you earn these card backs until we go to open beta, because we want to make sure that everybody who wants to participate has the opportunity to get these special card backs.
Famous is overrated. Anyway. So the other bit of news that we had about the ranking systems included in that was something about gold portraits, or is that more included with the adventure mode? I'm not exactly sure how those are fitting into all the changes that are coming.
Sure, absolutely. So the gold portraits are intended more of a, I've played an awful lot. I'm really good at this game, and I've played a lot with a specific class. So you get them for earning, the current plan is 500 wins with a specific class in ranked mode. So it's certainly not something that we're anticipating people getting in the first days or weeks, or maybe if you're super hardcore, months. But it's one of those things that lets you say, you know what, I really like the warrior. I play a lot of the warrior in ranked mode. That's sort of my thing. So when I go into any game after that, I'm going to have the golden warrior hero, and I can show that I'm a warrior player and I do very well with the warrior, or whatever class you choose.
Got it. So because I was under the impression, sorry Gareth, real quick, I was under the impression that the card backs were kind of that status symbol. But those are just, so if you just participate in the season, you get the card back regardless,
yes,
correct?
If you participate, if you win enough games, and it's going to be a small enough that you don't have to spend too much time on any given season to get the card back.
Right.
And the golden heroes are going to be I'm really hardcore and I love this specific class.
Those are the people to be scared of.
Yes,
right.
yes. When you see a golden hero, you will be nervous, especially if they're
Okay.
playing that class that you see as golden.
Gotcha.
So I guess that's also an incentive then for people, kind of like World of Warcraft, to pick their class that they really like and try and stick with it more instead of hopping around between decks. People have their favorites that they'll play more often.
I think people do that a lot already. There's certainly, when I talk to people, it's like, oh, I love Paladin, or I love Warlock, or I love Warrior. People have already done that, and we want to let them, wear that excitement about their class as a badge.
Yeah. I actually can't wait to get my Paladin Golden Hero now. Okay. What other? Are there any other perks that we haven't mentioned yet for this new ranking system that players can look forward to?
I think one of the big perks is probably going to be the display of your ranking to both the people you're playing against, but probably more importantly to your friends. So, when I look in my friends list and go, ooh, wow, they're rank 3. I've really got to get my game up, or I can be impressed by them or whatever. So it's actually going to be super important that we display that, and it's going to be pretty exciting to be able to show off to your friends just how good you are at Hearthstone.
I have those bragging rights.
Yep.
That's pretty nice. And so basically, you go into a game with a player and you'll see his current ranking?
When you are in ranked mode, absolutely, yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay, I didn't realize that. Well, we're talking about the ranking system. Before we move on, is there anything else that we haven't talked about with the ranking system that you'd like people to know about?
I think you've covered all the basics. I mean, the key thing, I guess, about ranking is we want to make sure that you clearly know how to advance. I win a game, I advance. I lose a game, I fall a little bit. We want players to have great rewards for participating, and at the high end, we really just want to differentiate the very skilled from the very, very, very skilled, and let our superstars sort of rise to the top and say, this is our number one player, or these guys are in the top 100, that sort of thing. Those are the critical pieces of this system.
Awesome. Well, the last thing I want to know is, are we expecting a patch with all this new stuff coming in before open beta, or is all this kind of planned for when open beta is going to drop and the rest of us just have to wait till then?
You can actually expect a patch that has some of the pieces of this, not the whole system, but some of the pieces in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome.
So, it's not going to have necessarily the rewards, the card backs, for instance, but the whole new ranking system will be in. And it's certainly a system that we expect to put out there, and after we put it out there and we get feedback from players to make little tweaks here and there, because when you put a system out to a bunch of players, you want to make sure you're doing the right thing, and we think we've got a pretty solid start to it, but I certainly would expect a couple of changes based on player feedback. We just don't know what that is, of course, yet.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure while you're in beta to actually test something, a change as big as this, I guess. So, taking that opportunity is a good idea, especially because us nerds are really looking forward to it now. Steve, I think you wanted to take over.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit about the future of Hearthstone. Let's talk expansions.
Yes.
We actually have a community question by a guy named Christian O from Mexico. He just flat out wants to know, are there plans for, new classes being released in expansions? Because obviously new cards are definitely down the line. If so, do you guys have any plans on how they're going to be acquired? Are they going to go through PvE content? Are they going to be something that can be, bought through an online store? Or, just unlocked the way classes currently are? What's your plans for new classes in Hearthstone? Because I need my Arthas. I need my Arthas.
It's certainly something we've heard a lot, and we've certainly talked about it a lot, but we actually don't have plans to add new classes for the near future. And a lot of it has to do with, we already have 9 classes out there, and we just want to make sure that all of those 9 classes have lots of people playing, and the interaction between all of those are great. And certainly we recognize that, it'd be awesome to have Death Knight or Monk or whatever, but we just want to make sure that we have tons of people playing all of those classes, and the balance is great, and just that there's not too many different routes you can go down when we first launch. Is it something we'll do in the future? It's certainly possible, but in the near future, we're planning on sticking with those 9.
Okay.
So we're in vanilla Hearthstone.
Yes.
Is basically where we're at. Right. So we don't have an expansion yet, so we don't get anybody new. Got it.
Okay.
You guys are going down the bad route the WoW developers went through as well, introducing new classes and then having to balance them all the time.
Yep.
Yep. We just want to be. Go ahead.
Oh no. Sure.
We want to just be very careful with how we introduce things and make sure we're introducing things at the right time.
Okay, definitely. So Justin and I were discussing this the other night, and we were basically throwing money at our screens talking about it. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and tell Eric?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully you've read the website a little bit, but I do a segment called Board Lore. I'm really big into the game boards themselves. I love the little things I can do and the little nervous tics I have about launching rocks across at my opponent and things like that. I love that stuff. And so the biggest thing that I was kind of curious about is there's, I think because it's a World of Warcraft game, you have to be legally required to do a major city board for every faction, right? I mean, it seems like every hero should have his city, but it's Are we going to get any more of the boards? Are we going to get like another Storm board with like cool like lightning and awesome stuff? Like that's the kind of thing that I'm super excited about. So do you see any of that coming more down the road?
We're absolutely going to be doing more boards in the future. I mean, we of course have to. It's just for all of these things just a question of when and what those boards are. And for the existing boards, what we wanted to make sure is that we had an Alliance board, we had Stormwind, and we had a Horde board. We have Orgrimmar. And then we sort of were talking about it and wanted to make sure that we called out to existing players. So Pandaria made a lot of sense because that's sort of where we are now. And then we put in the Stranglethorn board because that's sort of a board that's sort of classic WoW. I mean, everybody who's leveled up through WoW went through Stranglethorn, and it was actually the first zone that we're like, okay, that's the lowest level zone that we know both sides went through. Both sides have tons of stories about it. I mean, it's very rare to find a Warcraft player who can't tell you something about their experiences in Stranglethorn, whether it's being ganked at Nessingwary's camp or whether it's yeah.
Good times. Good times.
Or doing the Green Hills quest and trading on the auction house, or any of that stuff. So it's just a very iconic World of Warcraft zone.
Definitely.
Okay. So going with the game boards. First off, super excited that you said that. We took a little bit of an in-house poll, if you will, to see what kind of game boards we would be most looking forward to, and off the top of our heads, obviously, pretty highly requested at the top of the list. We had Ice Crown Citadel, a kind of Northrendy, Arthas-y themed snowy board of some sort, and then 3 actually came from the Burning Crusade. There was requests for Nagrand, obviously, Nagrand, however you want to say it, Netherstorm, and Zangarmarsh. Totally the coolest boards I could picture in my own brain.
Mushrooms, those damn mushrooms.
Yeah, so just
the mushrooms,
kick those,
mushrooms, yes, little spores.
Kick those around the
things.
Design team a little bit, get back to us.
yeah.
But let's keep moving forward with these community questions. So Platypus from Pennsylvania, he sent us. Platypus. He sent us.
It's real.
He sent us a message, and he filled out the Hearthstone questionnaire that you guys sent out, to get some feedback from the community. And he says, I recently received the questionnaire Blizzard sent out about Hearthstone, and one of the questions asked what we thought about playing against raid-style decks in the future. Are there plans for this down the pipeline? What exactly did you guys mean by that? There wasn't a lot of explanation at BlizzCon or anything. What's going on with that, Eric?
Right now, what's going on with it is we're really just focused on getting the game out and getting it done. And raids certainly would be cool. Certainly, we've talked about them. It's another feature that I wouldn't expect in the near future, but it's certainly something that we've talked about in the past, and it would be awesome. It's just that's definitely not where we're focused on right now. I mean, we're with all of the other stuff going on with Hearthstone and heck, a lot of the things that we sort of didn't expect. The rise of all the Twitch stuff and the esports stuff. There's a whole lot of different things that we're focusing on right now, and so raids would be awesome in the future. It's not something that we're talking about though for the near term. And sort of that survey was just to get a broad spectrum of the ideas of the directions people would sort of be interested in us going for sort of long-term thinking. Okay, and I'm actually very glad that you brought up esports, because I have another question here by an individual by the name of Dr. Zealot. And he says, hey Eric, how far will Hearthstone go to become an esport? I think one of the major opportunities for Hearthstone is to provide players not just with esport features, like replays and spectator modes obviously, but to also provide players a path for players to go through from in-game tournaments to larger tournaments, perhaps something akin to WCS for Hearthstone. What do you think about that? Well, certainly answering one of those questions, our ranked mode is sort of one of our paths forward there, in that we certainly can allow players to actually show off, I'm actually the number one or in the top 10 or whatever sorts of players. And on a larger scale, it's actually been really pretty interesting for us, because it's an area that we're just sort of exploring. I mean, when we first started talking about Hearthstone and we're first working on it, we talked about, hey, this could be an esport, this could be really cool, but it wasn't necessarily our focus. And then again, as I mentioned, sort of the rise of all the Twitch streams and how successful and popular the Innkeeper's Invitational was, it's definitely something we're talking about a lot. I guess, though, I have to go back and say right now we're mostly just focused on getting the game out, but with all of this excitement about sort of the esports side, it's definitely gone from something that we talked about sort of on a philosophical level, like, hey, that'd be really cool to have, for it to be an esport, to this is really a thing, and we're talking seriously about supporting it. So exactly what those features are, I certainly couldn't say right now, because we're again focused on get the game out, get it to everybody, get to open beta, get it onto iPad, that sort of thing. Certainly you can expect us to be talking more about esports features and sort of giving players a pathway, to prove they're the best in the world and that sort of thing in the future. But details are once we have a little bit more time to focus on that side of things. Okay, awesome. So let's just keep moving through with these community questions, because it seems we have a little more time to touch on these before we have to go. Going back to BlizzCon, you guys made a couple balance changes. You guys added more mana cost to mind control. Starving Buzzard had a little bit of a change, and you said you guys were thinking about changes for Unleash the Hounds, but it wasn't all set in stone. So Scatter from Brazil wants to know if how you feel about the changes you had with Mind Control and Starving Buzzard, and what other balances you think may be necessary. Sure. I think that we're pretty happy with those specific balance changes, and they're actually pretty interesting, because the ones we announced at BlizzCon were all done for such different reasons. I mean, Mind Control change was made in large part because can be pretty frustrating to play against that. So we're playing back and forth, and maybe I'm playing a Druid Ramp Temp and I drop my 8-drop guy on the table, and then on the very next turn they take it away from me, and it's pretty frustrating. And so that change was made more, I think, due to emotional feedback and how it felt to have your stuff mind controlled. We wanted to push it a little bit farther away, so that if a player is playing mind control, you have a couple of turns to beat them up with it before they come and take it away from you, if they're going to take it away and with a creature that large, usually a couple of turns is all you need to win the game with. So mind control is actually mostly done for based on sort of the emotional response that players had.
Quality of life changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I cried a couple times when I got mind controlled. So yeah, it's emotional. I'll tell you, it definitely hurts. So I'm sure we're going to be wrapping up here pretty quick. But the one last question we kind of wanted to ask also, because this is going to play into another thing that we've got planned for the podcast later on. But what is, if you have one card that you would say is your favorite, what card is that, and why would you say it's your favorite?
Oh, just one? That's rough. Because I have cards that are my favorite for very different reasons. I mean, one of my favorite cards, I'm giving you more than one.
Okay.
I'm giving you
give me
I'm giving you at least two. Because one of my favorite cards is Brawl. And it's for a couple of reasons. One is it has such great emotional impact in a couple of different ways. When you play it, both players are just on the edge of their seats going, oh my goodness, I have no idea what's going to happen. Anything could happen. And I've had brawls that have worked out spectacularly well for me and brawls that have just been the worst thing ever. And, and in either case, you have that great effect. So it's built to go, okay, he's dead. Is it going to get my... Oh my god, no, I got my guy killed or whatever. So I love Brawl because it's so fun when you play it and there's that moment of just anything could happen. And I really like that.
It's one of those story cards, yeah.
Absolutely.
That was my favorite card in the first podcast. See, me and this guy, we're mind-melding here. This is perfect. I love it. I love your random style. Well, and so you got one more, you said?
Well, the other one is actually, I like it for a very different reason, and it's the Crazed Alchemist. And I like the Crazed Alchemist because you can do so many different things that the opponent isn't necessarily going to expect when you play that card. I mean, there's sort of the traditional, they play a Shield Bearer or a Nat Peggle, and you can use it just instantly kill them. That's sort of the straightforward thing to do. But I actually very often use that card just to turn a 3-2 into a 2-3, or change, or vice versa. Or I have the 2/7 troll out, and I change him into a 7/2 and wipe out the big guy that he just dropped out. Or there's so many different ways you can use it, and sometimes they're very, very small but very tactical. And sometimes that they, of course, can have these huge effects, like absolutely killing an enemy creature or swinging for 7 or that sort of thing. So whenever I have that card in my hand, I always have to think about the entire board in this entire different way. What happens if I swapped any of your creatures or any of my creatures, and how would that impact the play going forward? So I like it from a sort of an interesting tactical point of view is Crazed Alchemist.
Yeah, I remember the Crazed Alchemist was used quite a bit in the early priest decks back before all the closed beta changes, the wipe. A lot of guys are using that to pump up health and then swap attack and kill instantly. So yeah, that card is a bit crazy. And I've got all sorts of interesting deck building ideas now. Thanks.
Well, I think we got the notification that we are out of time with Eric. We got to send him back into the progress mode. But we just. Yeah, no, right? Go get them moving. But yeah, so we were super excited to have you. Thank you again very much for taking the time out of your day to come sit with us, and we look forward to hopefully having you on again. But thank you again for everything you've done. The game is amazing, and you have totally found something that you've rejuvenated the CCG world. So thank you again. For having you, definitely for coming on.
It's awesome to be here, and thank you so much for telling me all this stuff and having it, because really, personally, my goal is just to CCGs are awesome, and I want everybody to play them, and the fact that people are responding so positively kind of is blowing my mind, and it's awesome anyway. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Yeah. No, well, that's it for now. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up real quick here, and we will be back with you guys in just a little bit, but we're gonna let Eric go. And we will see you guys in just a minute.
All right.
And welcome back, everybody. We just let Eric Dodds go, so we just wanted to thank him for that. That was a very cool thing. That was definitely some nerdness going on there. We were all buzzing with excitement, so that was a really cool interview. So we just want to thank Eric for setting that up for us, and Lindsay for getting him hooked up with us from Blizzard as well. That was really cool. So thank you very much, guys, for getting us an interview with him. So the next thing that we're going to segue into is another really big announcement that we've got today.
Big news, ladies and gents. Big news.
We're just backing it up. We got a lot of good stuff going on. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve to kind of talk a little bit about this piece of news.
Okay, so, big things happening. We had Eric Dodds on the show. Great news. You guys remember our last Hearthstone Beta Key winner. His name is Domus Zaboris. He's definitely, I think he's from Lithuania. That's where he's from. He's from Lithuania. He was our last Beta Key winner. And he shot me an email the other day saying, hey, I just want to say thank you for you guys sending me the Beta Key. I love this game. I want to help someone as much as you guys helped me. So, he had received his actual Beta Key from Blizzard and has kindly provided it to us. So, we now have a brand new Hearthstone Beta Key to give away to all of you. So, yay, Beta Keys!
Go, go, go.
We have a Beta Key.
Exciting.
Now,
Go get it.
how exactly are you
get
going to
it?
get your hands on this? Well, yeah, how are they going to get it? Well, it's it's really easy. We're going to do it in a very similar fashion to the last one we did because we had a huge response. Everyone liked the way we did it. So, if you haven't listened to the first half of this podcast with Eric Dodds, you might want to take a listen because you need to know Eric Dodds' favorite Hearthstone card that he's created thus far. It's very similar to someone else on our team, Justin. If you listen to, I believe it was the first podcast. Yes, it's his favorite also. If you want to sign up for the Beta Key entry, all you have to do is enter our raffle at hearthstoneelite.com/Eric and Justin's favorite card, which is Brawl. So,
BRAWWL.
Yes.
Brawl.
Yes, not two W's,
Brawl.
but one W. So if you want to get into this thing, just head to hearthstoneelite.com/BRAWL.
Go get it.
Brawl.
Go get it.
Okay?
Go get it.
You get in there,
Go.
you do what we say, you do what you know you want to do. You're gonna follow the Twitter, you're gonna like the Facebook, you're gonna post a comment, you're gonna get all amped up and excited, and then 24 hours go by, we hit you with a Beta Key. Very simple.
Hopefully, if you're the lucky one.
If you're the lucky
you'll
one,
be the,
which,
but
I
the
mean,
more
let's be
things. So
honest
the
here,
one
it's
thing I want to
probably-
stress is the one thing I'll stress is the more things that you do. So the Facebooking and the tweeting and the following and all that stuff. Each one of those gives you just another entry. So you can do as little or as much as you'd like. But the more you do, the better chances you get. So get over to hearthstoneelite.com/brawl and sign up.
Fun fact.
Definitely do that. Fun fact?
Fun fact, the retweet actually gives you the most entries. So you might want to retweet.
So there you go. So the retweet is worth extra bonus points. So that's great. Well, cool. All right. So then that's that. So I will move on from there. So the next thing we're going to talk about really quickly is just in kind of a wrap up for this week's episode. Let's just kind of go over everybody's favorite part about what we kind of learned from Eric and what we're most excited to see. So let's start with Gareth. What are you excited to see? What did you like? What insights did you enjoy that he gave us?
Well, yeah, hell, we can't really add much more to the show. We had Eric Freakin DODDS on the show, so yeah.
We're just a sideshow over here. We're just a bunch of morons at the end of the show.
I was saying to Steve during the break, it's amazing how when everything's done and he's gone, you finally come up with the really great questions you want to ask. But anyway, so yeah, I was actually my most exciting thing is the ranking system. I mean, like I said to him during the interview, the big thing for me right now is it feels kind of stagnant and stuff, and having this new ranking system is going to be absolutely kick-ass. And the nice thing is that in our second show, when we were wrapping up BlizzCon and stuff, we mentioned that it sounded like Legends was not going to get reset for the seasons, but they are, so we were actually wrong there. But anyway, but that's kind of good news anyway, because it just equalizes the playing field. The whole ranking system, it just sounds absolutely awesome to me, and I hope that it'll entice you guys to play a bit more ranked mode, maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think that Justin partakes in too much ranked mode. I think it intimidates him and stresses him out a little bit.
Ranked modes and arena, they just freaking stress me out. I just rage the entire time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It stresses me out. So I mean, it's exciting. I mean, for the people that are wanting to get into competitive play and people that are wanting to get the badges, and and once I get more comfortable once I decide to step out of my comfort zone and jump into the world of ranked play in Arena, I mean, I want to get a badge. You know what I mean? I want to be able to show people that I have some skill, because I think I do. I think I have a little bit of skill, not much, but I want to show them what I have. So the new rank system will come into play.
The card backs, if you want those card backs.
The card backs. I know, the card backs. See, and that's one thing. So there's two things I was excited about. One being obviously in World of Warcraft, I'm a collector. I collect pets, I collect mounts, I collect all the heirloom gear, tabards and stuff. I'm a huge collector. So for me, playing a game, I like the extras. And so for me, when they incentivize arena play or ranked play with special card backs that I can get, that later on down the road, when you're playing with this card back, people know that you've been around since the beginning. It's really exciting for me with that kind of stuff. The other thing that I can't wait for though is that he verified my question about there being new game boards coming at some point.
Yes.
So that they do have plans for that, which is really exciting. I mean, I do the board lore section, the segment on the website. So for me, getting some cool boards is really, really exciting. Whether they're unlockable or I personally myself, Eric, if you're listening, this is real. If you make boards, I will buy them.
Yes,
I will pay money for them.
Make the boards, and they will come.
I'm not insinuating anything. I would love to have them for free. I will also make that point. But if you do decide to make boards,
happily,
and you want me to buy them, I will happily pay for boards.
I just hope the boards are
especially
because my favorite board at the moment is the Stormwind one, where you can break the panes in the cathedral, you can break the tile on the roof, and the sign, and the well, and the bucket, and the floorboard, and the boxes. I mean, it's just everything's destructible there. I want more of those.
The interactions are the best parts of the boards. They really are.
I want to break shit.
Yeah. So I just really I don't know why. But I think like I said mentioned when I was talking to him, another storm board would be really cool looking. One corner be a biome, one of those jungle biome things. With the lightning, and the portals, and maybe every once in a while the ashes of a lark can fly by or something. That would be awesome. I love that stuff. So, but anyway, that was my favorite part. So, what did you like? What was your favorite part, Steve?
They could do so much with those boards. It's crazy. I mean, they could just blow it a million different directions. But my personal favorite, obviously, it was the first thing I talked about: adventure mode. I love PvP in World of Warcraft, but at the same time, I am a big fan of PvE content as well. And the fact that I'm going to be unlocking, 20 to 30 more cards that other players aren't going to be able to get their hands on if I run through that PvE content. Plus, it's a whole different challenge. It's apparently, based on what Eric Dodds told us, it's all speculative at this point. They're planning on implementing it. They have that space reserved in the menu for it. It's going to be happening. But there's just so many cool ways they can take this. I mean, if you're going through, dungeons and you're taking down ads and mobs, and I mean, because it kind of ties into the boards too, because you can't, have a Dead Mines run and they're using, the Pandaria board, or they can't have, an Icecrown Citadel run and you are, playing in Stormwind. It's got to be specific to the dungeon. So, I mean, when that comes out, I can guarantee there's new boards. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be a little story behind it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard is all about, in all of their other games, they're about the ambiance. They're about setting you in the place that you are. When you're playing a map on StarCraft, it's every little detail, the little plants and the little, the non-attack, the attackable creatures. There's so many little things that they add into every game. I mean, World of Warcraft is all about immersing yourself in it, and so, I think they're gonna make it really cool. I hope that it's like the tutorial a little bit, where you get to a boss fight and he the whole screen kind of goes black and focuses on him and he taunts you a little bit, and there's cutscenes and stuff. I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, definitely make it a show. Why not?
Totally, that would be a blast.
Because I mean, if they don't make it like a show, go ahead, Gareth.
I bet you adventure mode I bet you it's going to come out on official release of Hearthstone, because they still got the closed beta to go, and like we heard, it's probably going to be January. That's what it sounds like. They're kind of hedging their bets, saying that they're trying for December, but
I don't know.
I don't know. Like it's going to be January, but
I don't know. I mean, 2 months to pull out a whole game mode That doesn't seem like Blizz. That seems rushed to me. 2 months to pull out,
No.
I'm talking
about
maybe
I'm
one
talking about
dungeon.
official. I'm talking about official release, not the open beta, because practically speaking,
yes,
open beta is like release, like we said before. But on their side, they see open beta as still like a kind of a testing period. So on the full release, when they say, right, we're out of open beta, it's full release, here's the game, I bet you that's when Adventure Mode is going to come. And my guess is middle of next year is going to go full release. So Adventure Mode will be coming in,
I can see that.
guessing.
I can see that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just personally, I know he's not here anymore, but I just want to give a massive shout out to Blizzard and Eric Dodds for joining us on the show today. It was incredible. I mean, how many times do you get to hang out with an actual Blizz developer? Let's be real here, guys.
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
It's a huge, massive, awesome, fun, crazy experience. Something that I'm going to remember for quite some time. I hope that we can have him back. I hope that he had fun with us. We didn't scare him off too much. We're kind of quirky, but but yeah.
A little bit.
Thank you so much, Blizzard. Thank you so much, Eric Dodds. We appreciate it so much for joining us and hanging out with us and just kicking it. But with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we?
So thank you for. Yeah.
Do we do
thanks
the
for
classic
episode 3? Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Seeing Eric Dodds getting a little bit of insight into some of the things that are coming up. We'll get the patch will be out soon. It sounds like in a couple of weeks,
That's
which is going to add that new ranking system, which is cool. So that's a nice little bit of news. So this was great. Again, thank you, Steve and Gareth, for coordinating your times in 3 different time zones. We are an international team. So thank you guys for coming in and sitting with us. But I think that's it. So get over to the web address that we gave you earlier, just a little bit ago in the show. Go get there and get signed
your
up. If you
beta
don't have a
key.
key already,
Get it.
Get your chance at a beta key. Get your chance at a beta key. Don't mess it up. Don't miss it, because we don't know when open beta is coming. Still a little ways out. So
And one last shout out. I don't mean to interrupt you, but Damas, thank you so much.
Yes. I think it's Domas. Domas?
Is it Domas?
Is it?
I don't know.
I think so. I don't know.
Domas.
Either way, he can.
I think like
he
Thomas
knows
with
who
a
he
D.
is.
So
Wait,
Damas.
I think
Where
so.
do you guys say he was from
Thomas,
again?
yeah.
But thank you so much for submitting
Where
this.
did you say he was
This
from?
key.
He's from Lithuania.
He's from Lithuania. He is from Lithuania.
I don't know how you pronounce anything in Lithuania.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
I think he knows who he is.
We're
Thank you
ignorant
very much.
Americans, and we apologize.
This is huge.
not.
That was really cool that he did that for us. He said he would once he got the key. When we sent him the key, he said he would, and he came through. So that's huge. And now he's passing the love on to one of our other listeners.
One of you lucky fans.
Yeah, and well, that's it. Everybody, thank you for coming down, and we will see
Let's
you.
clap
on
it
the
out.
next
Let's
episode
clap it out.
of the
We
Hearthstone
clap it out.
Elite
We always clap it
Podcast.
out.
Clapping it out. All right, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Next time.
Bye-bye.
Haha! Not a bad show, eh? Thanks for watching, laddie. We'll see you next time.